Hello everyone, it is Tuesday, September 15th. Today is a B day, and here is the plan for today. We're going to take attendance. We're going to do a quick bell ringer to get you thinking like a mathematician. I'm going to explain what we're learning about today, and then you're going to have the rest of the time to work. Please make sure you have out the following items, that your headphones are plugged in, that you're in a quiet space, ready to work, and that you've got your packet out so that you can follow along. You do have 2 assignments today. They go hand in hand, and I'll explain a little bit more about them as we get going. So we're going to start incorporating a bell ringer, and like many of your other classes, you've probably done bell ringers before, but it's just kind of a way to get your brain thinking, and particularly thinking like a mathematician. So I'm going to ask you to notice and wonder. Take a look at the picture that's on the left-hand side. So many avocados, yum. My question to you is, what do you notice? What do you wonder? And do you like avocados? So those of you who are live with me today in class, we're going to take a minute to respond to one of those prompts in the chat. If you are learning from at home today, you can either send me a message on Schoology responding to one of these prompts, or you can write it down in your packet, or you can tell a sibling or a parent, call them in and have them look at this picture with you and tell them something that you noticed or something that you wonder, and whether or not you like avocados. So many things to notice and wonder. There's not one right answer. There's lots and lots of things that we could talk about. After you're done with that, we're going to take out your packet if it's not already out. Open it up to homework number 1 so we can correct. So yesterday I assigned you some practice on classifying numbers using the real number system. And I used specifically, or just the abbreviations. If you wrote the words out, that's okay too. And so you are going to self-correct your homework. I have complete faith in you that you will be truthful and honest. Homework is formative assessment. It's for your learning. It doesn't go into the grade book in terms of a score, like how many you got correct out of the total. But really part of my job this year is to make sure that you learn that as a mathematician, you can't get better unless you practice, just like a musician or an athlete. It takes practice. It takes making lots of mistakes. And so as a mathematician, you're going to do practice, and you're going to constantly be trying to refine and get better. And formative assessments are the way that you get feedback and give feedback to yourself and to your instructor, who is me. And so go ahead, and if you have a correcting utensil, you can use it, like a highlighter or a marker or a pen. That's a really good supply to start bringing with you to class. If you don't have that today, that's okay too. I want you to notice something, that all of these I have labeled with the letter R because they are all real numbers. Remember, real numbers are the biggest umbrella that all rational and irrational numbers are classified under. And so for the purpose of correcting, if you didn't put R, that's okay, because all of these are real numbers. Maybe make yourself a little note. But as you're correcting, give yourself credit as long as you had the rest of the classifications. So for number 1, if you wrote natural, whole, integer, and rational, you got that question correct. If you're missing one of the classifications or more on a test, it would be wrong, because the directions name all sets of numbers to which each real number belongs. So just go ahead and mark it wrong. It's not the end of the world. This is how we learn. Pause the video if you need to. Correct your homework. I'm going to try to move myself up here. And remember that we're always simplifying before we classify. So if you're getting some of these wrong, perhaps that is one of the reasons why. This little box up here in the upper right-hand corner is where you can write your final score. We're not done correcting yet, but I just wanted to point that out while this screen is up. All right, the second part of your homework. It's like moving me all around. The directions were a little different, and it said place the letter of each value in its location in the real number system below. And so you were just supposed to simplify each of those letters A through K and find the most specific location that that number belongs. For example, letter G is a natural number. Now, it's also a whole number, integer, and rational, and real, but you didn't need to write G, 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 because if we know that it's a natural number, then we also know that it's included within the realm of these other classifications. So I'm not sure if those instructions were unclear or not, but go ahead and just grade yourself based on like 1 point each. So did you put A in the correct spot as the most specific location, which is rational? If so, give yourself a point. 0 is a whole number. It's also an integer and it's also rational, but most specifically, we classify that as a whole number. If you have it there, give yourself a point. Some of these radicals or square roots, get in the habit of practicing with your calculator, typing these in and then simplifying by using that double arrow key right above enter. That switches it to a decimal so that you can, or simplifies it so that you can really classify it in the best spot. And then the questions down below are just some critical thinking. Can you apply this understanding of the real number system? There are some questions where your answers will vary, so I'm just going to have you do the best you can in correcting that. And if you need to ask a friend or if you need to pop in the chat and ask me about something, you can do that now, or you can always send me a message on Schoology. How did it go? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle. It's your first kind of go at it, so give yourself a little grace. But the way that I collect information about how you did is I'm going to introduce you to something called a growth tracker, which is actually cool this year because we're doing it online and it's all in Excel, and it's fun to practice getting better at Excel. But we keep track of homework assignments by points, and so you're going to add up all of the questions that you did. There's 6 here. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And then the page before, another 12. So that would be a total of 29 points. However many you got correct out of 29, please write in this box in the upper right-hand corner. If you have questions, maybe jot them down right on the top or somewhere on this assignment so that when I see you again, you can remember to ask me about them. What questions do you have now? If you're live with me, go ahead and either pop into the WebEx or write your question in the chat, and I'm happy to answer those right now. If you're at home, write them in your packet and remember, or send me a message on Schoology. All right, so today I am actually not going to be teaching you about the properties of real numbers, but you are going to be learning about the properties of real numbers. So your I can statement is, I can classify, I can identify properties of real numbers and apply them to an expression. Extra word there that I forgot to delete. Homework number 2, partial or part of it is due tonight by 11:59, and then the project that you're going to do today is due as well by tomorrow. So, why do we care? Just like yesterday, why do we classify numbers? Why do we care about properties of real numbers? Well, properties help us notice and wonder. Properties of real numbers help us to recognize patterns, help us to describe patterns, and that's what mathematicians do. Can you think of any other content area that describes the properties of a specific group? So it's kind of like this umbrella system again, right? Like once we can classify different numbers, then we can look specifically at a group of numbers in its classification set, and we can discover sort of what things are true about that group. Scientists do this a lot of times, and there's different ways that we classify things in science, and also then once they're classified, we can kind of take it a step further and look at their properties. And so numbers are the same way. The properties of real numbers help us to stay organized and look at numbers as a group to discover how they behave and interact in the universe. So it's another one of our building blocks. That's why this unit is called Algebra Basics, is because we've got to have all of these things really under control and really have a good solid foundation, because everything that we do from here on out is going to kind of come back to this. We need to know what kind of numbers we're working with and what things do we can we generalize about those groups of numbers, and how can we use that to be effective and efficient in the rest of our math. So if you keep flipping through your packet, you should see a page that looks like this. It's kind of just a graphic organizer, a space that you can use today as you work. But there are a lot of properties. A couple of these may be familiar to you. The commutative property should not be brand new. If it is, that's okay too. But these are properties that that are true for any numbers. So they justify steps when you simplify an expression or when you are solving an equation. And so these are kind of like the things that we have to go back to and remember and use and apply anytime we're doing math with numbers. And so find this in your packet. Some new properties, probably brand new to you: reflexive, symmetric, and transitive. And then these ones in the middle, maybe you remember or recall a little bit about, but it's going to be good to go back and learn a little bit more and become the expert on some of these. So the plan for today is this. I have assigned, giving you an assignment called the Properties of Real Numbers project. It is located in your Schoology folder. And when you click on it through the assignment, up will pop a Google slide that is a slides presentation that's generated for you, and it looks like this. Each of these is a live link that brings you to another page. So today you are going to become the expert on 4 of these properties, not including the commutative property, because that's the one that I'm going to show you as my example. But any of the other 4 you're going to pick and become the expert on. I'm going to pop over. This is what the presentation looks like. It should create